Welcome back to Reclaiming the Smartphone, 4 important conversations.
Before we get started, we need to say thank you to 46,000 families that receive and read the Culture Translator every week, and the hundreds and hundreds of schools and churches that we've visited and spoken with, not to mention all the families and groups that use the All Access Pass.
Thank you for encouraging us to make these videos about smartphones, and we are so encouraged by how intentional you are with your kids.
We love getting feedback from you, and we like you.
Okay, it's time for the third of 4 conversations. As we dive in, grab a notepad because we have a lot of great content coming your way. Also, be sure to share this video. No reason to tackle the challenges of smartphones alone.
Let's start with a question. At what age do you think it's best to get a smartphone for your kid? I mean, there are plenty of opinions out there, and it would be convenient if your kid could text you when she was done with soccer practice.
Not to mention the 3 other kids on the soccer team who already have phones. And the average age of a kid getting a smartphone is 10 years old. Or maybe you've already taken the plunge, and your kid has a smartphone, and now you're just trying to navigate this new responsibility with you and your team.
We think this question is flawed. At what age do I get my kid a smartphone? Assumes that getting your kid a smartphone means they get 100% functionality of the phone. It is very binary. You either get all of the phone or none of the phone. But we think there's a third way.
A good analogy for this is driving a car. In the same way that you don't hand your kid the keys to the car without any training and simply say, good luck, you shouldn't hand your kid a smartphone and just say, be safe.
The class, the written test, the permit, and logging hours of day and night driving. Then there's the DMV and waiting in line and taking the test. Then you have to learn how to drive stick shift and getting insurance and maintaining the car.
And don't forget changing a flat. Thanks, Dad, for teaching me how to do that.
The point is, there's an intentional process that leads to competence, and then competence leads to independence.
We think a similar mindset needs to be taken with smartphones. Why? Because their life, your life, and others' lives hang in the balance physically, legally, and spiritually.
In short, we advise against giving your child a phone if you are not ready to severely limit the functionality of it when they get it, and if you're not ready to have conversations about it with them multiple times a week for several years.
In the same way, you don't plan on riding in the passenger seat forever once they get their license. You shouldn't plan on getting them a phone without the realization that someday, while they're living under your roof, they will have full independence.
And this brings us to conversation 3, which is a journey with a destination. It's not just a quick and easy answer. You and your teen are on a journey of maturity and trust. As they prove their ability to make wise decisions, you trust them with more responsibility.
Eventually, they will prove they can self-regulate, meaning that they will impose their own limits. The destination of this journey is their own independence, ending in them paying for the phone on their own.
So what are some milestones along that journey? We'll give you a brief overview right here, but a lot more of the details will be handled in the 30-day Smartphone Family Reboot.
Let's look at a few of these milestones and how to handle them with your preteens and teens. The first milestone is ownership. From the beginning, it's not their phone, but rather your phone. And to take it a step further, it's God's phone because He owns everything. We're just stewards.
So let's get super practical. We think it's important to establish that they are leasing it from you and you have access to it and all of its contents at any time.
The second milestone is privacy. Your kids don't have a right to phone privacy, but rather it's earned. As a parent, you should know all of their login information and passwords. And at the beginning, it might be better if they don't know some of their passwords, so they need you to log in for them.
The next milestones. No more theory here. Let's talk about the actual phone. We'll do it in 2 categories, hardware and software. Both will start out extremely limited and move into more independence. First, let's address the hardware.
Some basic categories will be screen, camera, microphone, speakers, and GPS.
Especially early on, when you're watching a TV show, do it in public, not alone in a room. If you're listening to music, share it. Don't just have earbuds in.
Another option with music is getting a family plan on Spotify or Apple Music. That way everyone can see what everyone has downloaded at any time.
Taking a picture, Mom should make sure it's representing you appropriately. GPS, sharing your family's locations makes it a lot easier for pickup and drop-offs. Microphone, it's good to know who's on the other end of that call or FaceTime.
Remember, rules without relationship is legalism, which leads to rebellion. The goal of all of this is to build trust. Hold fast to a heart connection with your child.
And now for software. Here's some great advice and tactics from parents who are in the trenches. The App Store should be restricted. Any app on the phone will require your approval to download and update, and you should know what each app is for. Turn off in-app purchases, and apps should not be allowed to be deleted without your permission. Also, just check all the apps, especially ones buried multiple folders deep.
Texting and email should not be allowed unless you have access to all of the messages on a mirrored and separate device. The principle behind this: seeing themselves being seen, meaning you as the parent should be able to see all of their activity.
Eventually, you'll get bored, and you can stop skimming their messages because you trust them. We recommend you take a page from Dan and Kristen, who trust the Holy Spirit to prompt them to check their kids' messages when something is awry.
Internet browsers need to be filtered and have built-in accountability reporting. There are obvious sexual risks involved with full access to the internet, not to mention sexual predators. We will get into recommendations for this later.
Think of a filter like a wall. A wall helps, but if you're clever, you can always find a way around, over, or through it. And eventually, your long-term goal should be to help them figure out what triggers them so that they can willingly build their own wall. The best wall is not a filter. It's a community of friends and mentors to whom they are accountable.
Social media is not allowed. We know that's hard. But it's not allowed until open communication and trust are proven. The reason for this is because it takes a lot of energy to monitor social media. And if at some point you do choose to allow your child to have a social media account, proceed with caution and be aware of the mental and emotional problems that can be caused or triggered by social media. Cyberbullying, being the victim or the bully, and dangerous self-obsession are super hard to reverse once they've started.
Also take a page out of Scott and Sarah's playbook. They approve every post their kid makes and approve all of their friends. They want their teens to understand the impact of all the hidden nuances of posting.
For example, if they post a picture of their birthday party, how will the kids who weren't invited feel when they see it happen without them? Or should they accept requests online from someone they don't know in real life?
Finally, some best practices for the journey built around, drumroll please, family boundaries. For this section, you can make it your motto: we are better in community than in isolation.
One story stands out to us as to why boundaries are important. We asked a 13-year-old teen what her plans were for the evening. She responded, "I'm going to go home and watch my parents stare at their phones." You can't expect your kids to do what you don't model.
Consider these 3 ideas as a family. 1. Don't let red dots rule your life. Red dots are notifications. Consider which notifications are worth keeping or removing. You could easily remove 90% of your notifications, especially non-human ones.
2. Agree on a family technology curfew. When should your devices go to sleep, and when should you all be together tech-free? 8 p.m. anyone?
Finally, since your devices are charging, it's best practice not to have them sleep in everybody's rooms. Consider finding a common place like the kitchen to charge them all together at once. And just buy everyone an alarm clock.
Access likes to ask parents this question: what is your greatest competition when it comes to raising your kids? Did you know that the most popular answer is not smartphones or Snapchat or the Kardashians? The most common answer is other parents.
Parents tell us that peer pressure from other parents stresses them out. So if this is you, know that it's normal. And then stay the course on your family's journey with a destination.
The 4th conversation is coming in the next video, along with a plan to implement these conversations that we call the 30-day smartphone family reboot.
You will not want to miss this 4th conversation. It is possibly the most important of the 4. It is the secret to building trust.
In the next video, we will talk about porn, sexting, sneaky apps, and why your child will always have access to a phone, no matter what you do.
So we'll see you soon. In the meantime, take just a moment and share this video with your friends and family. There's a lot at stake with smartphones, and there's no need to try to do this alone.